Hello, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Mans, and I'd like to welcome you to the April 4th Coalition Show. This is the March 8th, 2021 edition of the show. It is week 340 and the 277th show that we have done since the closing of the North Adams Regional Hospital. The April 4th Coalition mission statement is: we are for workers' rights and collective bargaining rights and are against tax breaks for the rich and corporations who ship our jobs overseas. We support all the articles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, but as is the custom at the top of the show, we are going to put the emphasis on Article 23. Dick, do you want the first two and I take the last two?
That'll be fine. Thank
Okay.
you. Okay, so number one, everyone has the right to work, the free choice of employment, the just and favorable conditions of work, and protection against unemployment. Number two, everyone, without any discrimination, has the right to equal pay for equal work.
Number three, everyone who works has the right to just and favorable remuneration, compensation, ensuring for himself or herself and his or her family an existence worthy of human dignity and supplemented if necessary by other means of social protection. Number four, everyone has the right to form and join trade unions for the protection of her or his interests. And lastly, we always do a thank you to Michael Putnam for airing the show on the radio on Fridays at 6 p.m. The call tag for the radio station is WMNB LP 107.1. Well, Dick, did you enjoy the unexpected 2 weeks off?
Yeah, it was 3 weeks, I think, really, because we had a holiday in there too. So
Right, but we managed to squeeze in the February 22nd show. So, and
Well,
hopefully Paul is doing well, and as our director will be back soon. But in the meantime, we thank Dave Fabiano for stepping in and helping us to do the show this week so that we didn't have to go longer.
yes, so we're very grateful. Well, what we were going to do is I think we were going to start out because of the big vote that transpired this weekend in the Senate to pass the COVID relief plan, the $1.9 trillion.
Right, the Save America Act.
But the House of Representatives has been very busy passing legislation
They
that,
have.
for voters' rights. And it's almost down to a point if those laws don't go into effect, because there's Republican legislators all over the country. They're not trying to appeal to anybody because of their ideas. They just want to limit the number of people who can vote.
Vote.
They don't want people
They
to
don't
vote.
want big D. They don't even want little d at
We're
this
fighting
point.
for democracy, you know.
Right.
And also we have the fact that the $15 minimum wage was not included in the package.
Correct.
Taking out the millionaires, and the Senate decided that $15 an hour minimum wage was not something they wanted to
They didn't want to pass.
include in the
And,
package.
and
So
unfortunately, the parliamentarian agreed with them.
yeah, and they agreed with the parliamentarian. So let's watch Robert Reich
Mhm.
video, and then we can talk a little bit more about it.
Okay.
If
Mitch
Dave
McConnell may no longer be Senate Majority Leader, but Republicans can still block legislation supported by the vast majority. That's because of a Senate rule called the filibuster. If we have any hope of safeguarding our democracy and ushering in transformative change, Democrats must wield their power to get rid of the filibuster, and fast. The filibuster is a Senate rule requiring a 60-vote supermajority to pass legislation, which means a minority of senators can often block legislation that the vast majority of Americans want and need. It's not in the Constitution. In fact, it's arguably unconstitutional. Alexander Hamilton regarded a supermajority rule as a, quote, poison that would lead to contemptible compromises of the public good. Even without the filibuster, Senate Republicans already have outsized influence. The 50 of them represent 41.5 million fewer Americans than the 50 Senate Democrats. Wyoming, with 579,000 people, gets 2 senators. California, with 40 million, also gets 2. Meanwhile, Republican-controlled states are gearing up to pass even more restrictive voting laws, along with additional partisan gerrymandering that could enable Republicans in Washington to maintain power for the next decade. The best way to prevent this is with national election standards through the For the People Act and the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. But you see, these important bills are stymied as long as the filibuster remains in place. The filibuster is rooted in racism. In the 19th century, Southern senators crafted the talking filibuster, in which a member could delay the passage of a bill with a long-winded speech in order to protect the pro-slavery Senate minority. The current version of the filibuster, requiring 60 votes to end debate, was popularized in the Jim Crow era by Southern senators seeking to prevent passage of civil rights legislation. From the end of Reconstruction to 1964, the filibuster was used only to kill civil rights bills. Senators can now use a process called reconciliation to pass legislation on budgetary matters requiring a bare majority of 51 votes. But the filibuster can still stop bills on voting rights, the climate crisis, campaign finance reform, and other crucial legislation Americans need, and on which Joe Biden has based much of his presidency. Getting rid of the filibuster is also good politics. As long as the filibuster is intact, Senate Republicans could keep the Senate in gridlock and then run in the 2022 midterms on Democrats' failure to get anything done. The good news is the filibuster is a Senate rule. As I said, it's not in the Constitution. It's not even a law. Like any other Senate rule, it can be changed by a simple majority of senators. With Vice President Kamala Harris now serving as the tie-breaking vote, Senate Democrats can and must abolish the filibuster. Now, I know there are a few conservative Senate Democrats who don't like the idea, but Joe Biden and Chuck Schumer can get them to fall into line. That's what leadership is all about. They must end the filibuster and get America moving now.
Wow. That was very good and very informative.
Yes, it was. And the only risk I see to that is when you are not in the majority. Then how do you stop the Republicans from running rampant? I mean, the Democrats have never filibustered a bill in their life, to the best of my knowledge, at least not in the past decade. They've never said, okay, you're not doing that, you're not doing that. But also true, Mitch McConnell never gave them a chance to. He never put any bill on the floor unless he could do a reconciliation with it. So,
Yeah, I don't know, I think Democrats have used it in the past, but I'm not sure when, but
yeah, I'm sure it's been a while since they've ever have. And sadly, the Republicans are showing their hand. This last one, they're not gonna compromise on anything. They think they're running. They think this is like when Obama was in office.
Well, they had a bill that was just passed, both the House and the Senate, with no Republican votes.
Even though 76% of Americans supported it,
Yes.
and I believe 54% of the Republicans.
Right. So they showed their hand on how they're going to operate. So, I know that Joe Manchin, the senator from West Virginia, he's in a very conservative state. They voted heavily for Trump, but he's a Democrat and got elected.
Right.
The millionaire, and he listens to the coal mining industry and some of the other industries. But he did say Sunday that he would be willing. He said he was absolutely against getting rid of the filibuster, but he was willing to talk about revising the rule.
Right. And I think his thought was to make it painful for the Republicans to do it. So I believe his thought was that they would have to talk and talk and talk. And when they were done, they would have a vote. They would end the filibuster by a majority vote and then move on to I don't know if he went so far as to make it so that the legislation could pass as a majority vote, but I know that was the idea of what he had in mind.
Yeah, I've heard Al Franken say he's a retired senator. He had to resign, but he said that, you know how they say you have to have 60 votes in order to stop debate? You know,
Mhm.
that's what the barrier is. So what Al Franken said, a very simple thing would be to say that they have to come up with 40 votes,
Correct. The minority has to come up with 40.
40 votes in order to continue the debate. So
Right.
flip it, because what happens is, and this is how Al Franken explained it, is that like he was going home on a Friday and there was a Republican senator there and he said, well, I'll see you on Monday. And the guy says, oh, no, I won't be in on Monday. We're filibustering. So he didn't have to show up to work because of the filibuster, because it was incumbent upon the
The
people that
minor-
60 votes to be there. But if you weren't going to vote yes, then you didn't have to show up. So what
Right.
Al was saying is, let's make those 40 people be there all the time to say, no, we don't want to stop debate. They have to be on the floor at all times. Then if those 40 people aren't there, then they won't have enough to
sustain it. Right.
then the burden would be on them to be there all night and all weekend and not have the day off. So the way it's set up now with the 60%, those people that are filibustering take the day off or the week off. If they're filibustering, they don't even show up. That's part of
Right.
the burden. If you can put the burden on them having to be there, they're a bunch of 80-year-old millionaires. They're not going to want to be at work.
Well, they're certainly not going to want to be there for long.
Yeah. So
You could tell they all left when Ron Johnson did his stunt about having the whole entire the Save America Act read.
yeah,
Everybody else left, but Ron Johnson had to stay there, and a few Democrats stayed, so that if he ever left, they could vote to stop it.
right. Al Franken said that there could have been a lot of time saved on the Senate floor passing this bill if he could only knew how to read.
Right.
The fact that he didn't know how to read, he had to have someone read it for him. That was the big thing.
That was sad. Yeah.
But
No, I agree. It definitely needs to be modified. And I think the people who want to initiate it should own it. They should have to take the responsibility for it.
I think that a majority should rule. There's no reason for a super majority.
No.
And the things that the Republicans want to pass, they're not popular.
No,
You
they're
know,
not.
They're not. The things that the Democrats want to pass,
Are very popular. So of course we can't do it.
yeah. So
You can't empower the people.
what he said was 41 million more people voted for Democratic senators than
Correct. That there's more. The Democrat senators represent more of the people than the Republican senators do.
right. So they're fixed on minority rule, and we can't accept that. The $15 minimum wage, though, we absolutely have to have that. I mean that.
Oh yeah.
I've heard some people say that's a compromise, because really, I guess on Saturday Night Live, the comedian said, yeah, they're going to raise the minimum wage to $15 so you can afford rent in 1996. Things are out of whack, 15,
Oh, they're way out of whack. So if you get the $15 minimum wage, you only have to work 2 jobs
yeah.
instead of 3 or 4 to make ends meet. Yeah.
Then I heard this really intelligent woman that was with Al Franken on his podcast talking about she was an economist, and she said there's other ways to get the poor people money is by using that earned income tax credit. And then you can target people with children and increase it that way. But what she fails to say is, in reality, with the earned income tax credit, we're subsidizing multinational corporations to pay substandard wages to people. And then we as a government have to subsidize the richest corporations in the world to pay their employees so their employees can live. And that's not right.
No, it should be obvious that you want your employees able to work and live and be comfortable so that their morale is high and they owe loyalty to the company. I heard Mass MoCA wants to unionize.
I hope they do. I hope they
Yeah.
do. The union movement, there's a movement, and President Biden made a strong statement telling managers not to interfere in Alabama, the warehouse for
Right
Amazon.
down in Amazon, yes.
Oh.
I heard that one too was going on.
And
So,
the president made a short speech saying that the managers should not be promoting anti-union messages at work or threatening people. It should be up to people to decide, and hopefully we'll get reform there where you just check a box when.
right, and there you go. Well, that's still I believe that's still the law of the land, that you can check a box and vote to be unionized.
No, but it's not as easy as that. I think we have to do some reforms of those laws,
Mhm.
but I think that we need to have a lot of laws passed in the Senate. I mean, especially on voting rights.
Oh, yes, definitely vote. They're trying to make I wish it was fair. I mean, but we know the Supreme Court's not gonna rule in favor of those laws. They're gonna pretend that everything is fraudulent.
Even there's if you listen to Fox News, or there's these people are being misinformed. Even though all the courts and all the elected officials that were Republicans in Georgia said that it was a free and fair, they're claiming that, well, people believe that it's not free and fair, so we have to do something about it.
Right, so now we have to put up all these.
Because they lied to them. That's why they believe it.
Right.
Trump lied to them. It's just very unfortunate. But I think if we continue to go forward with the passage of this bill, it's going to do a lot to help with child poverty. It's going to this bill that was, well, the House of Representatives has to pass what the Senate passed, and I think they're going to do that tomorrow. And but I think it's going to be some major changes, and economically, I think people are going to benefit from it.
I think they're going to benefit, and some of it expires fairly quickly, but others go on. They're going to have to be renewed if it's needed. But it is a good bill. It's a very dynamic bill.
Hopefully, more people, because this bill being passed, will be able to get the vaccine.
Yep. It'll enable the federal government to do what they wanted to do and get more workers hired and improve the distribution line.
Let's hope so. I'm feeling a little frustrated myself. The CDC had said that letter carriers or postal workers were
essential.
Were to be in line at phase 1B. That was their recommendation, which would be when 75-year-olds and
right.
But as a federal worker, I feel that the federal government should be providing the vaccine.
Use the vaccine. Right.
The federal government should be doing it, not leave it to a governor to decide. Because there are departments within the federal government that have vaccinated their employees. The Army, FEMA, there's certain parts of the federal government that have vaccinated their people. But the Postal Service has not. And then when you leave it to the governor doesn't feel or list the Postal Service as essential workers.
Right, so now you have to wait.
We're in the general population.
So are higher ed workers.
Pardon me?
So are higher ed workers. We're in the general population. He did K through 12, so he could get the, quote, schools open. Colleges are always already open, so they didn't feel they needed to do it.
As a letter carrier, I feel very frustrated because the Democrats were all for vote by mail. I don't know where the Commonwealth of Massachusetts would have been if we didn't deliver all those postcards telling people that they could get an absentee ballot. Then they got the absentee. We brought them the absentee ballot, and then they returned it, or they returned it themselves, or used the post office to do it.
Right.
The tax bills that go out locally, all those things that jury notices, all those things that you do.
And if
Yeah.
y'all get sick, who's gonna deliver? I know.
So I'm just very frustrated, and I can't even get a reply from the congressman's office and the senator's office. I finally did get a call from Richie Neal's office, and I did talk to one of the aides about it. He said, "Well,
Mhm.
we thought it was an oversight by the governor, and we talked to them, and they said no, they purposely left the postal workers out." And so he says, "Well, we're going to write a letter to."
Oh boy, Baker's gonna be quaking in his boots.
I said, "Don't bother writing a letter to him." I said, "Write a letter to Pelosi and to the president and to the postmaster general." I said, "If
Right.
you're postmaster general, you would want your employees vaccinated." And
You would think.
he would be, should be the advocate of that. But anyways, I don't want to harp on it too much. Of hopefully with the vaccines, everybody that gets the vaccine makes my life a little
That
bit
much easier,
every-
safer. Yep.
like I would hope that soon that they would do the people at the high rises and at the big apartment houses so that they
Mhm.
they're forced to go in elevators and live closely together. I would think the state would
I
vaccinate.
thought they were in phase one, congregate living setting.
Yeah, I thought they were too, but they have not been
I
vaccinated.
bet you it was only for the East. They didn't figure out how to do it out West.
Well, I talked to our state representative and he said, "Oh no, they've all been done." I said, "No, I talked to the people there. No, they haven't been done."
Yeah. Honey, I'm on the show.
All right, goodbye.
Sorry about that, folks. That was my significant other saying bye to me.
But anyways, we hope more people get vaccinated. Everybody that has the opportunity to get vaccinated, you should get vaccinated. Whatever vaccine is available, take it, get vaccinated. Everybody will be safer.
Just remember that's doing the community good rather than the opposite. Don't fall for the politics of masking that's been going on. It's not a point of pride. It's a civic obligation to do it.
If you're vaccinated and you're out in public, you still should be wearing a mask and social distancing. The CDC came out today with some
Yes.
guidelines for people that have all been vaccinated, but and how they interact with each other if they've all been vaccinated. But
But you don't know who's been vaccinated.
we have to err on the side of caution with this. We're not out of the woods yet. There's a lot of
No.
people that we're out of the woods, but we're not. But this legislation that passed is helping propel us forward. But you know,
Right.
the president asked us to do it for 100 days, wear a mask, and we're not even at the 50th day yet. So
Right. And some states couldn't wait.
yeah, if we could just wait, another 50 days or another
Things.
60 days and see. I just think it's wonderful the fact that, I haven't had the flu this year.
No, I didn't either.
I
I
remember
had COVID, but I didn't have the flu.
I remember when I was in high school, I used to go to the library and there's this older woman that would always walk around and she always had Kleenex blocking her mouth and
Mhm.
oh, and I never understood why, but now I think maybe she might have gone through that 1918 pandemic and
Right.
that
And learn that
she
that
never
was a way to protect yourself.
got over it, never stopped wearing.
Yeah, I used to see some bingo players would come in with the mask on when they were around a large group, and that was the reason for it. They wanted to avoid being exposed to other people's germs or
So
bacteria.
science, it's good science. We have about 3 minutes left, and
Oh.
we're hoping next week to do a video. It's going to take much of the show, but it's a union video on Medicare for all or single payer and why
Mhm.
that would be a good thing. And we have to advocate for that. We don't hear people talking about it, but it would be
It would be a boon to all.
I,
It would transform our lives if you didn't have to worry about insurance and
right. It would even
COVID,
from the perspective of
or
this,
not having it. You could just go to a
right.
doctor.
Right. In this video, it talks about it even more. There'd be more paying customers for hospitals for areas that don't have hospitals. They don't have it because they don't have people with insurance.
Right.
But if everybody has the insurance, there'll probably be more hospitals. Maybe
Probably. It might help spur a growth there.
yeah. And we're hoping that we can get our elected officials to see the the wisdom.
Excuse me.
We need to have, everyone covered.
Mhm.
I was listening to the Ralph Nader Radio Hour podcast, and they
Right.
talked about something I was really surprised about. And he kept talking about Medicare Disadvantage. And I said, gee, I never heard about Medicare
The advantage
Disadvantage.
plans that don't really work for you. Yeah.
Right, exactly. He said that Joe Namath goes and sells he's been on a TV saying this is a good plan, but be careful. I'm getting to that age where I'm going to be signing up for Medicare soon. And
Yeah, I have about 4, and
I was,
Tony actually almost fell into it.
yeah, they said once you get into it, you have a hard time getting out. And in the, the premiums are a lot lower, but when you get sick,
Look out. That's when the copays and all the deductibles show up.
talked about one
And prescriptions too, because the one he got had, he was sold that it was not going to have any copays or deductibles. It would be just like his plan with his current plan plus a couple more perks. So they're going to get him out of it because he was lied to. And he told them like 2 days in when he got the card, he didn't want it. So he was in the 30-day grace period, so he's able to get out.
We're less than a minute though, but we just want people, if you're signing up for Medicare, make sure you do the research and don't get into these Medicare Advantage plans. They're not good for you. It's just
No.
private companies taking a cut that they're making money off of.
Right, or they're good for like 1 year or 2 years, and then all of a sudden all that stuff starts flying in on you.
So we have 30 seconds. We want to say hi to Mike and
Mike and Rachel, I hope everybody's watching Solution Rising. She's been putting a lot of stuff on the history of the hospital closing on her show for the last few weeks.
well, that's great.
So-
So all we can say is power to the people, and thanks for being with us. And tune in next week, and we'll have a video on Medicare for all.
Thank you, everybody. See you next week.